Today I'm going to introduce a topic, I'm going to teach it, which I've actually never taught here on real bass lessons. It's called reading music on the bass. I've read music and taught reading music all of my life. I absolutely love it. I've written a number of books on reading music, and I'll introduce a few of them to you here today. When I was very young, I couldn't read a note. Just stumbled along and tried to figure out what the names of those little lines and spaces were. When I was in college, the director of the music program put half notes and whole notes in front of me, and man, I scuffled big time. I can barely play at all. Sound familiar? I did learn to read music very well, and it has been a valuable asset to me all of my life. Let's talk about a couple of the challenges to start with. The number one reason people have a hard time learning to read music is they start with too difficult a material. Why would we start? What logic is there in starting up here if we're not good at this? Music is a step-by-step, learning to read music is a step-by-step process. Down at school, I see some guys, pull out their Charlie Parker Omni book to learn to read music. That's probably not going to happen. Or they get the Bach cello suites. I've even had people say, yeah, you want to get those Bach cello suites to learn to read. Do you realize that's extremely difficult music, notated? Don't do that. Or I've seen guys, I got all the Jocko transcriptions and I'm going to learn to read with that. Folks, you need to learn to read the fundamentals. Like any language, we need to start at the bottom and learn the little ABCs and the little chunks and start putting them together small. That is the biggest challenge to learning to read music. Most people jump in way too high. And by the way, why do they do that? Well, it's sort of fun and sexy to have all those cool advanced books on your music stand. Yeah, but we need to start at the bottom. And we often don't want to practice what we're not good at. Well, too bad. If you're not going to practice, if you're not willing to work on what you're not good at, you're never going to get beyond that. So let's start at the beginning. What do you say? Now, I've had real success over the years teaching that we need to practice reading on 3 different levels, basically at the same time. And I don't mean the same time, but I mean working on 3 different levels. Let's define those. By the way, those are defined very clearly in one of our books we're going to use today, the Integrated Reading Technique. In the earlier introduction stuff, it talks about it. Level 1 reading is when you put on the metronome and it's going tick, tick, tick. You don't stop the metronome. And you don't stop reading, and you can read it. Well, maybe you're making 10% mistakes. So that might be very simple material for some of you, for a lot of us, quite frankly. And understand, every person's reading level 1 material might be different depending on what level you're at. So let's repeat that. Practicing level 1 material is when you can turn the metronome on. No, don't stop your playing. Play through the music from beginning to end, and you're only making maybe 10, maybe 20% mistakes, about like 10%. That helps you get your eyes moving. And by the way, when you're working on reading, I have found it's the best way to develop technique. If the pitches and the rhythms are already given, we don't have to be, quote, creative. We just need to play accurately so we can think about our hands and our posture and our hand position and the notes and where we are on the fingerboard. Yeah, I've had great success teaching technique while learning to read. Now, level 2, that's when you have material that is just difficult enough that with the metronome going and you not stopping, nonstop, you keep playing, but you're making a whole bunch of mistakes, like maybe 20, 30, maybe even up to 40 or 50% mistakes. And that's very difficult because when we make a whole bunch of mistakes, we want to stop. Of course we do. We want to correct them. But this helps you definitely keep your eyes going, look ahead, and don't worry about what you missed. Just keep going. So what is that again? Level 2, metronome's ticking, and you're reading, but you're making quite a few mistakes, but you don't stop. Keep the beat going. Now, level 3 reading is when there's material and you're working on it that is too difficult to play it in time. You simply need to sit and figure it out. You need to count the little 1 and 2 and 3 and you need to work out. Where's that note? Where's that E flat up here? Oh, there it is. Where's that C? Oh, shoot. Where's that high F? There it is. Sure, it's working out small riffs, little I was thinking 4/8 note little groupings, maybe a half measure, maybe a whole measure, maximum like 2 measures, maximum. So you work out the shapes, the fingerings, the hand position, the rhythms. Understand, reading music is recognition. It's not just reading random things that we've never seen before, or that, we just stick on a computer, just sticks on a page. Here's a mistake I've seen real commonly today. People sort of get these little computer programs and they, program 12 notes in there and they go push a button and it just randomly throws those notes out. Folks, that's not music. We're not going to be reading random, weird, crazy stuff. We're going to be reading good sounding music. So again, we learn some iconic riffs, half a measure, 1 measure, 2 measure, work them out. That becomes part of our vocabulary that we now recognize when we see it in music. That was the very beginning of how I learned to read music. We didn't have a lot of books 45 years ago. I simply opened up the Carol K. Boogaloo book and went, oh my God, it was unbelievable. But I'd pick 1 measure and worked on that sucker till I could play it well and I recognized it. That became part of my vocabulary. You got the idea? You can read about it in the book, of course, and study, make sure that you're on the right level. I want to repeat, what is level 1 for you may not be level 1 material for another person. They may be a better reader or they may be a worse reader. And as you improve, that level 1, 2, and 3 material will change, obviously. Let's look at a couple of examples in the book here now, and I'm going to talk about hand position and posture. Let's go to that now. Let's start by working out of the first reading book I've ever written. It's called Reading in Bass Clef. Reading in bass clef and integrated reading technique are very similar, but there is a few differences. But this is the one I started with, so let's start with it. Let's turn to page 15 and look at example 18. Now you notice I've got another camera here. That'll take us right to the page. Look at that now. I'm now pointing at those notes. See that G and an A and a B? Now, by the way, if you don't know what those pitches are, you just go back to the very, very beginning first page of the book and learn what those simple notes are. We're now in this part of the book, we're up to half notes, which gets 2 beats. It talks about it here. It tells you how to do it. Notice that we've got little numbers above. That's fingering. So watch my fingering now. I'm going to play the first 3 notes of that song. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Now, basic rules for practicing good reading, not playing the bass forever, but practicing good reading, is 1 finger per fret. Not this kind of stuff, not this kind of stuff. No, spread your hand out and put 1 finger in each fret. If we do that and we play the 2nd finger, the 4th finger, and the 1st finger on the next string, we get scale degrees 1, 2, 3. Now another rule of thumb here is no open strings. Not this. No. Now understand, the rules I'm telling you to use here, they don't apply to everything we play. I know that. But they will help you develop good posture, good physical technique. Learn your fingerboard while you're reading music. So now let's look back at the music here, and I'm going to play the whole first line, okay? It'll go boom, boom, bing, boom, bingo, boom. Here we go. I'm going to play it. You follow it along. 3, 4. Second line. Cool. Now, I simply went up. I went up. Ooh, I went back to that note. What is that note? That's the original note I played. Ooh, here was a big one. I skipped it. I skipped that one, went to that note. Down, up. These were the same. Ooh, that one was different than above. And these were the same, but that was different. I see good reading as reading the shapes, up and down. Now, that'll only work if you have good hand position. Good readers don't go G, B flat, A, C, F, F sharp. No, they simply see the shapes. They have their hands in the right spot. So let's play it again, 1 time through. Get your bass out. 1 finger per fret. Learn where these notes are, and then let's play it. Here we go. Back to the page. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now, here's a little bitty practice, it's a very small practice technique that is a major step in learning how to read music and learning your fingerboard. I'm now going to play this example a half step up. You say, transpose it? Well, not really. I'm not going to think that that's a G sharp, but no, I'm just going to play the same fingering. I'm just going to move my hand a half step. Watch my hands. 3, 4. That was the same shape as this. Let's go up 2 half steps from here. Here it is again. I'm only playing half the exercise. Now, students sometimes say, yeah, Jim, but I memorized these real quick. Well, you're supposed to. Keep your eyes on the page, though. You know what the first step in learning to read music is? Look at the music. It's amazing how many people sort of glance away and, I don't know, get distracted or think that you know what's coming up. Well, when it's really simple, you will memorize it. But as you move through this book, you'll start to see and want to recognize and have to look at a whole bunch of the shapes. I think this is all for this sort of beginning lesson. Okay? As a matter of fact, I think I'll move to example 19 here in the book and play it. Take a look at the book now. Here's number 19. It's the same pitch set. The root, up to scale degree 3, down to 2, down to the root, 2, 3, 2, and the root. Let's do a little faster. Watch the music like this. It's in 3/4. 1, 2, 3, ready, now, play. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Up a half step. 1, 2, 3. Just sliding the hand up, same fingering. Up a half step. 1, 2, 3. Got the idea? You need to move this up about 4 or 5 half steps for each example in the book and then go to the next one. This will really, really get your reading going. I know it looks simple. It is. But we need this kind of fundamental recognition of shapes in our fingers, in our eyes, and hear those sounds in our ears. By the way, the ears are going to be easy. You're going to go, I recognize that sound. I memorized it. Well, that's fine. Let's memorize it in our fingers and with our eyes too. Okay? So ends lesson number 1 on reading music. Right on.